Hey all, and welcome to Shadow Space, and we are commenting on another BCP video. We have been at this a while, so I do apologize if the commentary is getting a little bit scant. This is called Liberal Media Stunned as Anti-Trump GOP Gets Destroyed in Landslide After Refusing Redistricting. This is uploaded May 6th. This is being recorded May 7th, and link is in the description.
Ohio are heading to the polls today in key primaries that the White House is very closely watching. The Buckeye State is setting up a contest that could determine who controls the Senate.
And over in the Hoosier state, President Trump is pushing to unseat 7 Republican lawmakers who voted against his redistricting efforts last year. NBC News correspondent Shaquille Brewster joins us now from St. John, Indiana, just north of Indianapolis. Great to see you, Shaq. So you talked to voters there in that district. What do they think about the president's campaign to essentially punish Republicans who defied him? And what are they saying about the overall state of the country right now?
Hi there, and good afternoon to you. You know, it's definitely a mixed bag in those conversations that I've been having here in one of those districts that is being represented by one of those Republicans who voted against the president's plan to redistrict and draw more Republican-friendly maps. President Trump calling that incumbent a Republican in name only, and even endorsing a challenger for him in this election. And this redistricting battle, based on the conversations I've been having.
I mean, didn't we just have this conversation last video about self-identified moderate Democrats versus them being actual hardcore extremist Democrats? I mean, it kind of sounds like the Republicans have a similar issue.
Have been top of mind for some voters. I want you to listen to some of those conversations now. You wanted to see the state redistricted. I want you to listen to some of those.
Trevor DeVries has my complete and total endorsement to be the next state senator from Indiana's 1st Senate District. Unlike incumbent Dan Durnall, a rhino loser who has failed the fantastic people of Indiana so badly, Trevor DeVries is a winner who will not let you down.
Conversations now. You wanted to see the state redistrict its congressional lines.
That's right. I just came out here to show my disapproval and hopefully adjust it going forward.
There's 2 candidates that were out here supporting, or one of them that was supporting the redistricting effort and one of them that wasn't. And so because I was not supporting that effort, I voted against that candidate.
If Trump endorsed them, I voted for him.
A few moments later.
Come in. There it is.
Done.
All right. There's
Simple.
the check mark. NBC News has projected it.
If Trump endorsed them,
11 Senate
they
District,
my
Brian Schmutzler, a challenger backed by President Donald Trump, has defeated incumbent state senator Linda Rogers, one of the Republican state senators who voted against the Trump-backed plan to redraw the state's congressional district.
Whoops.
That is the 4th pink splotch you see on the map right here. That means that's the color we assigned to the pro-Trump side tonight. That is 4 incumbent members of the Indiana State Senate, incumbent Republican members, including a member of the Republican leadership, have now been defeated. And all of these 4 incumbents who have been defeated, per NBC News projection, have been defeated in landslides.
Boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yeah, can't play that.
We got to talk about a bloodbath
Thank
that
you.
happened
Thank
out
you.
in Indiana and Ohio involving some rhino Republicans who got absolutely destroyed, humiliated by Trump-backed candidates after they refused to redistrict like President Trump asked.
We're almost 90 minutes past polls closing in your race. What are you hearing? How confident are you feeling?
You know, I think it's going to be close. That was always the expectation going into it. I'm still confident that we'll prevail, but it's going to be a tight one. And, you know, given the money that's been spent against us, that's...
I don't know why this is surprising when they already acknowledge that he weaponizes the government to go after his political opponents. Just because you're on his side doesn't mean you're not his political opponent.
You know,
That's
really,
silly.
actually, even a victory in its own.
Yeah, I mean, the $13 million is just stunning that that's being spent against you in a Republican on Republican race. I mean, it all comes back to your and your colleagues' opposition to the new congressional maps. And after that, I know, Senator, you received death threats, that you said your home was swatted, and Trump has attacked you in deeply personal ways. He called you an America Last politician. He called you an incompetent and ineffective rhino. And he said that you betrayed his voters by voting against
For whatever
redistricting
reason, betrayed his
in Indiana.
voters by
I
voting
mean,
against redistricting in Indiana.
How do you deal with all that? I mean, you are
An America Last politician.
how do you deal with all that? I mean, you are I understand, a lifelong Republican. You've been doing this for a long time, and
He seemed to think it's
where
funny.
it is now.
Well, I mean, the truth is, I know that Trump doesn't really have any idea who I am or any idea who my opponent is. This is all just designed to try to show that Washington, D.C. can control Indiana. And that's really what this race has been about. You know, Trump is perhaps not as popular in my district as he once was, but he is still overwhelmingly popular. But really what this race is about is how many Hoosiers are going to recognize that all of this marketing is designed to try to tell them from out of state who to vote for, versus how many just believe it and buy it. And that's what this race is really.
I mean, because to me, this is the Democrats, where they speak a lot in generalities, but, like, you get a lot of people from out of state are dictating how other states should conduct their affairs. Like they don't know.
About, because Hoosiers don't like being told what to do, even by somebody that they respect and like, for those that feel that way about Donald Trump.
Well, John, President Trump has been seeking revenge, and tonight he is getting it. He has had a successful effort in at least 3 of the Indiana State Senate primary races, and one of the Trump challengers has failed. So right now the scorecard that the White House is watching very carefully is 3-1, and the Trump-backed candidates is leading in the other 2. What are we talking about here? Why are we talking about the Indiana State Senate? Because the senators, the Republicans who have served for nearly 20 years, each one of them who lost, voted against the president's redistricting plan last December. They said that they did not believe it was appropriate to redraw those maps. The White House has said, we are going to throw you out of office, and that is what is happening this evening. It was a dramatic campaign, millions of dollars.
I don't know why this is Donald Trump's fault. I don't know what this has anything to do with Donald Trump. It was time to have a vote. The seat was going to get either passed on to someone, so they had a vote. What did they say in Virginia? The people decided. They let the people decide. This is what they decided.
Dollars spent, and the White
All
House
of a sudden,
is winning this.
The results are incorrect. They're saying something bad.
War, if you
or something.
will, tonight. Only one non-Trump backed challenger, Senator Greg Good, is holding on. His race was a bit peculiar. He was running against 2 people named Wilson, but he is holding on. So.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Now, again, this was a complete and total bloodbath. We're going to go over more of the results, right? Because the results are coming in. And, President Trump, in his endorsement, certainly still means something. And MAGA is not dead. And that's showing up in the results, which is,
of course it isn't.
Something that is driving the black pill right insane, right? Because, again, they swore up and down that MAGA was dead, right? MAGA is dead. But last night showed that MAGA is, in fact, not dead. So, without further ado, let's get into it.
People who get their news sources from places that are polling that are saying that Trump's approval rating is at its lowest that it's ever been.
And the
yeah,
2026
those people probably
6 Republican state senators who voted not to redraw
aren't too happy
Indiana's
about
maps have lost or are losing their primaries. Let's bring in News 8's government reporter Garrett Berquist now for a closer look at some of those races. Garrett?
Phil, these were very decisive wins in most cases for the primary challengers. All of them were endorsed by both President Donald Trump and Governor Mike Braun. Let's begin in District 41. That's Senator Greg Walker's district around Columbus. Walker has lost to State Representative Michelle Davis by a roughly 60-40 margin. It's worth noting Walker had originally announced he would not run again. He changed his mind after Davis began her campaign. Now to District 21. That's Howard, Tipton, and part of Hamilton counties. Longtime Senator Jim Buck will not return to the State House. Tipton County Commissioner Tracy Powell took home nearly 2/3 of the vote in that race. Over in District 23, which covers West Lafayette and points west, this is very interesting. We are now at a virtual tie. Senator Spencer Deary leading by three votes at this hour.
See,
and
I mean,
District 38, which
this is just evidence. Every vote counts. This is literally a difference of 3 votes. Exactly 3.
Senator Greg Good is heading to the November ballot. He took home more than half of the vote despite facing 2 challengers. I'm Garrett Bergquist for Wish TV and WishTV.com.
A busy night, Garrett. Thank you very much. Let's take a closer look at some of the results from other races this evening as well. First, the District 1 Senate race in
there's DeVries. Looks like he won.
Northwest Indiana. Trevor DeVries defeats Senator Dan.
See, versus this guy who didn't even get it, like almost got a quarter.
Durnell with 75% of the votes tonight. In District 6, James Starkey is leading with 56% against Senator Rick Niemeyer. And in District 11, Brian Schmutzler wins over Senator Linda Rogers. Schmutzler took home 59% of the votes tonight. And in District 19, Blake Feichter defeated longtime state Senator Travis Holdman. Feichter took home about 60% of the votes there. And our primary...
Wow. That is complete and total domination, right? There's no other way that you could frame.
I don't know. I have no idea how many of those people were pro-MAGA, were rhinos. I have no idea.
This. You had Trump come in and say, hey, we want to redistrict. There are Republicans in Indiana that support it. There are a few of them who did not support it. And the voters ultimately decided that, the state should have redistrict in order to gain more House seats, in order to prevent these lunatics, these socialists, these Marxists from taking back power and control. And the Republicans who were opposed to it lost, right? They lost big time, which again proves that MAGA's not dead. Trump's influence is not gone, right? That Trump is still the leader of the Republican Party and that his endorsement, at least in the primary, is like gold, right? Like Bitcoin, right? So, I mean, it is what it is. People can say what they want.
What were the platforms of these other people that lost? Were they running anti-Trump? Did they just have policies that they didn't agree with? Was it truly Trump's endorsement of them that gained them the favor that won them the election? I couldn't tell you.
But
I don't have the answer to that question.
The voters said, hey, we're punishing the Republicans who refused to redistrict, which means that they didn't do what the voters wanted, right? And I understand that everybody out in Indiana may have not wanted to do it, but you got to understand, we live in a time period where we can't play these games with Democrats, right? We can't play this game of, we're not going to do it because we don't want to set the precedent and we're afraid that Democrats going to do it to us and this going to put this country in a dark place. It's like, bro, we're already there. We're already there, right?
If you could reach across the aisle and come to an agreeable decision about what the district should be, then it wouldn't be an issue.
What Democrats are doing out in Virginia.
You can't do that.
That should tell you everything you need to know.
The union's too broken.
We're at the point where Democrats are hell-bent on taking away representation, a voice away from conservatives and Republicans and Trump supporters. They don't want us to have a say in anything. You think that Democrats actually want us to have representation? They don't. They don't. So why should we give them any representation in our states if they don't want us to have representation in their states? Just look at the Northeast. Look at it. That shows you exactly what Democrats think about whether or not Republicans should have representation in Congress. They don't. They don't think we should. So we got to stop being nice to these people.
Well, I mean, that or all of those states are primarily black.
not living in 2004, right? We're not living in that time period anymore. We're living in a different era, and in this era, everything really is about power, right? That's what it's about. And if you're not willing to embrace that, then you're not cut out for this, right? You're not cut out for the time period that we're in. We're in a fight for the future of this country, and the stakes are higher than they ever been.
Oh, so you're saying that we're in constant warfare all the time? We're in maximum warfare all the time, everywhere? Oh.
Again,
I didn't
we're
realize.
dealing with socialists, with Marxists, right? We're not dealing with the Democrat Party of the 90s, the Bill Clinton Democrats, not even the Obama Democrats, right? We're not dealing with those people. We're dealing with the AOCs, the Bernies.
Okay, well, what do you do with those people? They are the deviants. Those are the ones that refuse to follow the rules. What do you do with them?
The Gavin Newsoms, right? We're dealing with radical far left. That is who we're dealing with, okay? So these Republicans stood up against the president and they got voted out. It is what it is. The voters made that decision, right? So also another defeat for the Black Peel right is Vivek Ramaswamy, who won the primary for governor out in Ohio in a landslide.
When the Department of Government Efficiency was announced and created, Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, they were labeled as the two people that were going to spearhead the Doge movement. It wasn't too long after that we heard that Vivek would indeed be stepping back in pursuit of political office in Ohio.
It's been a while.
He's running for the governorship there. His primary tonight resulting in him getting an easy victory as expected. And Vivek, he's speaking to a crowd right now in Ohio. Let's dip into a little bit of his remarks. This is live.
To take Ohio to new heights, how we're going to wring out the waste, fraud, and abuse out of an abused Medicaid system, to put that money back in your pockets where it belongs, and to bring down health insurance premiums while we're at it, to make life more affordable in this state, so when our kids graduate, if you work hard and you play by the rules, you get to have a good life and then dream for an even better life for your kids, that you're free to speak your mind at every step of the way. That is my pledge to every person in this state who voted for me today and who will vote for us in November. Our pledge to you is that we will deliver you lower costs, bigger paychecks, and better schools. And my pledge to every person who does not vote for us this November is also lower costs, bigger paychecks, and better schools, and we will protect your right to complain about it at every step of the way. But what I will tell you is that I believe we're on the cusp of a new dawn for Ohio, one where we reconnect with our roots of ambition, the state that raised Neil Armstrong and John Glenn.
Okay, well, what do I have to be ambitious about? What are these plans that you have for the great state of Ohio that's going to elevate it to this pinnacle of success and prosperity?
And the Wright brothers and Thomas Edison, the state that led the first industrial revolution, the state where Toledo led the world in glass production, the state where Akron led in rubber production, the state where Youngstown and Cleveland led in steel production, the state where Dayton led in computing, the state where my hometown of Cincinnati was known around the world as the Queen City, will once again be at the forefront of our country, the bleeding edge of our country from the center of our country. A state that patriots across this country actually flock to and flock back to, including so many of our kids and grandkids whom I have thought they were finding refuge in other states, coming back to, not because we forced them to, but because this is the state in the United States, and dare I say, this is the state on planet Earth, where the best opportunities are actually available to them. That is why I'm running to be your next governor. It is not for fame, it is not for fortune. Our family has been blessed beyond our wildest imagination, beyond what my parents or Apurva's parents could have imagined just a few decades ago. But I am in this, and I speak for Rob and myself here. We are in this because we believe that together, with the complementary skills that we bring to the table, we are the two people in this state who can work together as a team to lead Ohio back to our true potential, to our greatest heights, to put more money in your pocket, to bring down those costs, and to give our kids the world-class education that is the birthright of every Ohioan.
Yeah. So I think you guys get the gist of what Vivek is pitching here, which is lower costs, better education, opening up Ohio as a state where businesses can come in and they can create jobs and opportunity, right?
Well, he said it.
The exact opposite of what
Said it multiple
Democrats are doing
times.
in blue states. I personally, for the life of me, don't
I mean,
understand
we
how
could go
anybody
back
can
and look for
rationalize
it if you really wanted.
voting.
We at 1534?
The state where Toledo led the world in glass production. The state where Akron led in rubber production. The state where Youngstown and Cleveland led in steel production. The state where Dayton led in computing. The state where my hometown of Cincinnati was known around the world as the Queen City will once again be at the forefront of our country, the bleeding edge of our country from the center of our country. A state that patriots across this country actually flock to and flock back to, including so many of the state where Toledo led the world in glass.
Nope, because that's where we were.
And my pledge to every person who does not vote for us this November
Okay, here we go.
is also lower costs,
Lower
bigger
costs,
paychecks,
bigger
and better
paychecks,
schools, and we will
and better
protect your right
schools.
to complain about it.
And they're going to protect your right to complain.
The world-class
Don't know why.
education that is the birthright of every Ohioan.
He thinks that's important.
Yeah. So I think you guys get the gist of what Vivek is pitching here, which is lower costs,
Bigger
better
paychecks.
education, opening up
And
Ohio
education.
as a state where businesses can come in and they can create jobs and opportunity, right? The exact opposite of what Democrats
Well,
are
see,
doing
I don't know.
in blue states.
He didn't actually say if he had a plan for how he was going to do that. He just said that that's what he was going to do. What is his plan to do that? Has he thought about how that's going to happen?
I personally, for the life of me, don't understand how anybody can rationalize voting for a Democrat over Vivek. I really don't get it. I don't understand it. But I was told by the Black Pill right that Vivek was going to lose. Okay.
Well, see, but from where? If you were hearing from right-wing people from California, then no. They know nothing about Ohio. They know nothing about Ohio. They know nothing about about Ohio politics. It isn't up to them. They don't know.
Come to general election, but he did defeat their candidate, right, in the primary. But we're going to see in the general election, if Vivek wins in the general election, again, I think that there are going to be a whole lot of individuals who are going to have egg on their face. But again, I just personally feel like, there's no rational way to justify voting for the Democrat candidate who is pro-lockdown, pro-mask, right? Just, a radicalized socialist like all of them, to be honest with you. I don't understand how you vote for that, especially seeing what's happening in these blue states, right? How do you vote for that over Vivek, right?
They want it. They think it's
I don't
better.
Get it. I don't understand. I understand people have some beefs with Vivek over certain issues. I get that. But that's still, in my opinion,
they don't agree with his plan. They don't agree with his vision or his direction for Ohio.
It does not justify voting for a Democrat. That's what politics is. It is really, unfortunately, hey, we got to pick the person who is, the least bad, right? And I don't even think Vivek is bad. I think he's good, but,
See, it shouldn't be that. It should be voting for the person who represents what you want to have happen in the government. It shouldn't be which person has fewer things that I don't want.
some people are looking at it that way. And, it's one of those things
It
where
can be, I guess.
this is what real life represents, right? Real life is how people actually vote, right? And you're saying that, at least in this primary, Vivek, he won in a landslide. Again, 82.5% of the vote.
Yeah.
It's pretty good, right?
Yeah.
We're going to see what happens in the general election.
I mean,
I just don't see how anybody can justify voting for a Democrat over.
How did this Democrat win? Would they win in a landslide, or were they divided?
Vivek, but we're going to see, right? There are individuals out here on the Black Pill right who are telling conservatives and Trump supporters, we need to vote for Democrat. Black pill right, who are telling, conservatives and Trump supporters their individual.
No.
Individuals out here on the black pill right who are telling, conservatives and Trump supporters, we need to vote for Democrats, right? Support Democrats in the midterms. And then they're saying that if Democrats win in 2028, they're going to leave the country, right? Because Democrats are, going to go after conservatives, but, vote for Democrats to teach Trump a lesson, right? To teach Republicans a lesson, while the same people who are telling you to vote Democrat are planning to lead the country if Democrats win. Those are the type of people that we're dealing with, right?
Yeah.
Those are the type of people that we're dealing with. I personally believe that it is better to be a team player, right? To understand that, okay, every candidate is not perfect, but as long as we're moving in the right direction, okay, as long as we move in the right direction, we pick up wins, we continue to pick up win after win after win after win.
Okay, well, they don't want to be team players because they think that the other team that they have to be a team player with are Nazis.
That is how you ultimately get the change that you want. You don't get the change that you want overnight. You don't get the change that you want with the perfect candidate. You get the change that you want by consistently winning over extended periods of time, right? Not just one election, but
Well, see, but you can't just win. You have to be winning in a direction. If you're winning, but you're going this way, instead of going this way, you're still having a problem.
Elections, 3 elections, 4 elections, that is how you actually get to what you want, to what we want for this country. And we won't get there taking a step back because we have people who are undermining our movement for their own personal gain. Because their argument is essentially that we need instant gratification. We need everything we want now, even though the Congress is split. It's a 50-50 split. It's not legislatively possible to get everything that we want. But it would be possible if we continue to win over time, right? To build up to a supermajority.
See, the point isn't to just win. The point is to come together to come up with legislation that everyone agrees on. The problem is no one wants to budge. Like, Democrats re-proposed that DHS funding legislation multiple times. And yet, as far as I'm aware, basically nothing, they just presented the same legislation over and over again. I don't know what they changed in it. They weren't asking for less. They were asking for just the same amount. They didn't budge. If what they want is unreasonable, and what you want is unreasonable, how do you come to some sort of agreement? How do you come to some middle ground?
To keep House control, to keep control of the White House. That's how we eventually get what we want. But we can't get what we want when it's 50-50. We can't get what we want if we lose the midterm elections.
You
right?
can,
because
by giving them some of what they want so that they get on board. It's figuring out what they're willing, how far you need to let them in order to get their vote.
For whatever reason, people decided to sit it out because Trump didn't deport enough illegals, right? Even though he's trying his best. He's trying his best. But again, imagine what he could do if we won the midterms in a land.
That isn't all his fault. Think of all of the anti-ICE protests and anti-ICE movements that have been happening the whole time.
Imagine what Trump would be emboldened to do. Right? He would be emboldened to do a lot more, right? If we actually won, we could do a lot more because that's what politicians respond to. They respond to the voters. And if Republican voters are saying, hey, we're not going to reward the president for the stuff that he's done thus far, then we're not going to get anywhere, right? We're not going to be headed in the right direction. And I think that's what people got to understand. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe.
I don't know. I mean, this is where we are now, where people say that they're Republicans, or people say that they're Democrats. They say that they're moderate, but they're not. There are lots of people who say that they're one way or the other, and they are. There are a lot of people who say what they think they ought to be, or what they should be, but not actually what they are. I don't think you stop that, because people are too dependent on their social status. Being social creatures is too instinctual.